playful, mischievous little tiger cub went over and said, "Gore, come here and eat meat." It was more like a cute kitten than a vicious tiger. Why was this tiny tiger cub so submissive, and where did it come from? Atwood's parents left early, leaving him to live by himself in a relatively isolated mountain town. He was beyond 40 but couldn't get married because of his extreme poverty. In addition to planting a few fields, he also worked as a forest ranger, and he would go into the mountains every 2 days to make a lap. For Atwood, since he grew up in the mountains, the job as a ranger wasn't all that hard. He thought the job could be done easily and earn extra income, so he liked it very much. One winter morning, Atwood was out touring the mountains early in the morning, trudging through the snow. Although the snow did not cover his knees, he walked so slowly that he had to stop and catch his breath every time he walked before continuing. That's when Atwood suddenly heard a few faint whines. When he stopped to listen carefully, the voice stopped abruptly. He thought it was his hallucinations, and just as he was about to move on, the voice rang again. The sound came from a piece of grass ahead, causing Atwood to be on high alert, and he walked slowly over. A head poked out of a dry, snow-covered weed. Shaking violently, its childish voice was very weak. Atwood scraped through the weeds and saw that the little tiger cub had many bite marks from other animals on its body. There was a bone on its leg that looked like it was broken. Atwood watched the little tiger cub hurt so badly he couldn't bear to leave it alone, so he picked it up slowly and walked down the mountain quickly. When he got home, he found some tattered clothes and put them on the ground and put the little tiger cub on it. He quickly found the medicinal herbs to stop the bleeding. After grinding, he applied it to the cub's injured area. The cub's leg bones had been exposed, so it needed to be tied up. So he went to the door to find a few wooden sticks to fix the legs of this little tiger cub. After the little tiger cub was bandaged, it was getting late. When it was time for dinner, Atwood didn't think about cooking first, but instead got the little tiger cub something to eat, but he didn't know what to feed it. Atwood suddenly remembered that the family dog had just given birth the other day, so he decided to try it. He abruptly got up and went to the kitchen to get the bowl and headed towards the kennel. Atwood told the dog he wanted to ask it for some milk. He didn't care if it understood, but went straight to the milking. Then he held the milk to the mouth of the little tiger cub. The little tiger cub lowered its head and stuck out its tongue, licking slowly, and finished drinking after a while. The man said that as long as it was willing to eat, it would definitely survive. After that, the little tiger cub lived on the dog's milk. Atwood would always hang out with the tiger cub. As time passed, the little tiger cub's injuries were almost healed. The man named it Gore, and they lived on. After more than half a year, this little tiger cub had grown into a majestic tiger and would often follow Atwood up the mountain. Atwood continued to stand at his side as time passed. Atwood decided it was time to let Gore return to nature because it was playing in the woods and didn't at all resemble a tiger. The following morning, Atwood drove Gore to the woods. He knelt down and caressed its head while speaking to it in a language it couldn't understand. He hoped that Gore would comprehend what he was saying, and that it would comprehend his desire to return it to the natural world. After all, nature was where it really belonged. Gore seemed to know it. Atwood treated it differently that day. They were out to part ways eventually, so Atwood put it down and turned to go down the mountain, but Gore stayed close behind him and wouldn't leave until he got pissed. Gore had never seen Atwood get angry. It may have been frightened, so it did not dare to follow, and ran to the mountain in despair. After that, Atwood continued to patrol the mountain. But one day, Atwood suddenly fainted on the mountain. Coincidentally, this fainting made him gain a love. After fainting, Atwood was seen by Bonnie, who went up the mountain, and Bonnie shouted Atwood's name. After a while, Atwood woke up and Bonnie helped him down the mountain. Bonnie's family was also very poor, and she dropped out of school in the 3rd grade of primary school. In order to maintain a living, she could only make a living by relying on the family's fields and cutting firewood in the mountains. She spent almost half her youth there. Since Bonnie helped Atwood off the mountain and rescued him, they had more and more interactions. Bonnie's thrift completely impressed Atwood. One day, Bonnie mustered up the courage to confess to Atwood. Atwood was very happy. He thought he should take the initiative to confess. But due to objections from Bonnie's family, they married 2 years later. Atwood was nearly 50 at the time. Atwood and Bonnie had a happy life. They had a lovely daughter. Their daughter was very well behaved and sensible, and would always accompany Atwood up the mountain. People may have a variety of difficulties throughout their lives, and nobody can predict when an accident will occur. A bad thing happened to Atwood. A tingling sensation appeared in Atwood's waist as he was patrolling the mountain, but he went out before he could react. When Bonnie realized this, she hastily walked up the mountain with the frail Atwood. They traveled for over 3 hours to get to the main road, when they stopped a passing vehicle and proceeded to the hospital. After a systematic examination, the doctor concluded that Atwood's left kidney was gradually shrinking, and his right kidney was gradually necrotic. The high cost of surgery made Atwood choose to give up directly. He left the hospital and returned home after only a few days of fluid transfusions in the hospital. After that, Atwood was like nothing happened, and even Bonnie thought that the medicine prescribed by the old Chinese medicine doctor had the effect. 3 years later, Atwood's condition worsened again, which made Bonnie even more sad. Atwood's left kidney was severely atrophied, as was his right kidney, but Atwood said he felt better and less pain as long as he took a break in the forest. It was summer, and the sun was very hot on the ground, which was the season of forest fires. Even if they were careful, Atwood was not able to avoid disaster. A forest fire broke out, and Atwood knew something was wrong when he saw a few wisps of smoke rising from the mountains not far away. The fire spread quickly. Atwood didn't have time to react, and the fire spread to him with the wind. Atwood just ran down the hill. Not paying attention, he stumbled and fell. With a loud bang, a tiger appeared in front of him. This scene seemed familiar. Atwood was flanked before he could think. He neither wanted to be eaten by this beast nor burned to ashes. Atwood closed his eyes and thought his physical condition would not last long, so he chose to accept fate. At the time, the tiger looked anxious and walked in front of him, grabbing his clothes and dragging him from time to time, which surprised Atwood. What happened to this tiger in front of beasts? Did humans still have a chance to survive? The tiger didn't stop dragging because of Atwood's stun, which made Atwood feel hopeful again. He quickly got up and ran down the mountain in the direction the tiger was dragging. Not long after, a tree trunk suddenly fell from above. Atwood didn't rush to dodge and was pinned down by the burning tree trunk. After the tiger put out the flames on its body, there were obvious burn marks on its body. It took a stick from not far away and handed it to Atwood. Atwood pulled the trunk away from him after he got the stick. He had no time to consider it. All he could do was put up with the discomfort and keep running down the mountain. Atwood had been following the tiger, which was continually keeping watch over him. Atwood arrived safely at his house at last. The tiger rubbed a few times on his body after sending him over the mountain. Atwood then noticed the tiger's leg's extensive scar. Although its legs had healed after this young tiger cub was hurt, the wounds were still visible. Atwood wanted an answer when she asked the tiger if it was Gore, but the tiger stepped forward, shook the dust on its body, and let out a long whistle, then walked towards the mountain. Atwood was desperate. He wanted it not to go back because the fire on the mountain was out of control and it would be dangerous, but the tiger disappeared into the fires if not hearing it. When Atwood got home, Bonnie was horrified to see him in a state of disarray. "I rescued a dying little tiger cub. When I was patrolling the mountain, I didn't know you at that time. I kept it by my side and released it later. I was able to escape successfully this time entirely because of it. I didn't do anything major, but I was rescued by a tiger." Atwood shook his head in disbelief. Forest fires damage forests, and a single fire can turn an entire forest to ashes in an instant. Humans, animals, and even all of nature are interdependent. Our collective efforts are necessary to prevent forest fires. To make animals, we must improve the social environment. And better for my house, this is the tale for today. For more intriguing stories, click here.